Today I'm starting the long and stupid journey of building my own step-by-step telephone exchange. I've been interested in electromechanical stuff for ages. I made these relay modules for your Eurorack synthesizers, and I was always going to progress to bigger and clickier horizons. You may have seen the Telephone Tuesdays, a series of videos that I make with Johnny Goddard for the This Museum Is Not Obsolete channel, and Look Mum No Computer's always been really kind to me, allowing me to help with his telephone exchange. But I know that if I want to get into the nitty-gritty and properly understand this stuff, I need to do it myself from the ground up. And I've got a few friends now who actually have telephone exchanges, and it made me think, why don't I have my own exchange? I could have an exchange. That's not too bad, is it? It's totally normal thing to do. So I've been quietly collecting parts and tools and books and documents ready to get on with this. And I don't have everything that we're going to need, but let's make a start at least. And the first step is sorting out the power supply. This is a power unit 52A. It converts the 240 volt AC that comes from your wall socket and turns it into a 50 volt direct current. First things first, we need to fit a new plug onto it, and then I need to figure out which of the outputs is the ones that we need to connect up to our selector, and that's the next step. This is a pre-2000 final selector, one of the older, bulkier types, but today we're going to be hooking up a 2000 type selector. And you also need its associated bank and cradle. And we'll get to all these really cool relays and mechanics later. So the cradle is the bit that the selector actually sits in on the shelf, and the bank is all the contacts that the switch selects across. Our selector has got 3 wipers, so we need the 3 bank type, and that's 3 sets of 10 levels that you can see there. There's also a bracket for the vertical marker, but we're not going to be using that for the moment being. So all these selectors are normally sitting mounted on a shelf. And if I turn it around, you can see the single mounting point, just one bolt holding these onto the shelf. That's to reduce vibration that could transfer to the other switches and cause errors. And there's the rubber buffers on there as well for the same reason. The cradle doesn't only hold the selector, it also provides the electrical jack-in points. On the back of the selector is a set of plugs, and those jack into the shelf jacks on the cradle. These are all referred to as U-points. Our selector only needs 16, but this particular cradle has 32 U-points. And as I said, the cradle and the bank are normally mounted on a shelf, so it makes it a bit easier to plug it all in together, but we're going to have to do it on a bench here, because I don't have a frame made up yet. So on the cradle, there's a couple of grooves that index with the selector at the top and bottom there. All you have to do is line them up, slot them in, and then push it together. So yeah, pretty easy to jack in and out these selectors from the shelf, so you can take one out and work on it if it's not working. Big improvement on the pre-2000 earlier selectors. Okay, so all those U-points come through to these connections on the back of the cradle. Now we've got to work out which one of these we've got to connect what to. Luckily, I've got this book, Telephony Volume 2, which is really useful book, although a lot of the real engineers don't seem so fond of it, and probably because the cost of it was deducted from their wages when they first started the job. And this has a list of all of the U-points and what they are meant to be connecting to. Although the numbering is not immediately intuitive, I'll read from the book. The points are so designated that the odd-numbered U-points start from the centre of the shelf jack, as seen from the rear, and count outwards towards the right. The even-number U-points similarly start from the centre and count outwards towards the left. And we can see from the list, to connect the power, we need to connect earth to point number 11 and battery to point number 12. And slightly confusingly as well, another thing that seems really obvious to every engineer that works on this stuff, but is not obvious to anybody else, is that this works off of negative voltages. So the earth is actually positive with respect to the battery. So we've got the power hooked up now. Let's plug in our test phone, the Batinsky. I did a whole video about this thing on This Museum's Not Obsolete channel. What should happen is we seize the selector with this red button on the side, and if we dial 5, it should step up 5 levels. And if we dial 3, it should step up 3 levels. You get what I mean. It doesn't seem to be working, does it? You can see that the fast A relay at the top is actually moving, but it's not actually causing the wipers to step up levels. There's a saying that A operates B and the rest is automatic. So I'm guessing the problem is with whatever B's doing, because it's not moving. And if we actually press the armature down on B ourselves and make the switch contact, you can see that what it should be doing is pulling up the wiper carriage. You can see that toothed bit that I'm pointing towards, that's the vertical ratchet, and it's not engaging with the pull properly, not moving up as it should. And here I'm moving the vertical detent to release the ratchet system, so it seems there's some old oil clogging everything up on here. Now I've got shown a trick for a quick fix to this, and you did not see this from me. This is not a suggested technique in in Telephony Volume 2, what you do is instead of dismantling everything, cleaning it properly, as you should do, you just take a blowtorch and burn off the old oil. Now, this is very much not recommended. This is very naughty. But after applying a bit of new oil, you'll see that this technique does give results. If only temporarily. I'll probably need to do this properly at some point. And luckily I've got a whole booklet full of 2-motion selector maintenance and adjustment instructions. That'll keep me busy. And please, if you know any more of these off-book techniques, please leave them below in the comments, because it's really hard to find this information unless you've actually worked as an engineer yourself. And I'm just a numpty. I'm following all the old books and stuff. So the selector switch is now working in the vertical axis. It's stepping up levels according to the numbers dialed. Now we need to check that the automatic hunting mechanism is working in the horizontal axis. This is done easily enough by connecting the release alarm viewpoint to earth. So we made a good start, and next time hopefully we'll be building a frame, figuring out how to connect this to another selector and a line finder so we can have a 2-digit telephone number and multiple phone lines. Very exciting. All those wires are a bit intimidating, but luckily for our purposes, we only really need 3 of them. So I think that's a good start to the old telephone exchange system. We've got a power supply, we've got a selector kind of working. We're going to be diving into so much more stuff, and obviously the majority of that is going to be over on Patreon. So please consider subscribing there. It would really help me have more time to do this kind of stuff and show it to you. And I don't just do telephone stuff. Have a look through all the rest of the channel, because I make synthesizers and all sorts of things. Anything really takes me fancy. And please leave me a comment, let me know what you thought of this video, and if you have any advice for me, it's always welcome. I'm always wanting to learn from people who know more than me, and a lot of people do know a lot more than me. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Give it a go, and let me know how you got on. Speak to you later.